Well, Shabbat Shalom, Mishpachai. Hey, very glad to be here. Shabbat Shalom to each and every one of you. This is the day that the Most High has created, and we rejoice in it. We are glad in it. We are the sheep of his pasture. We are his people. We are his army. We are his inheritance. We are the families that he has sworn to bless throughout the earth, and we delight in coming on this day that we celebrate Shabbat, a day of rest for us, a day where we can come before the Most High, meditate upon the Most High, and begin to draw strength from his presence, begin to regroup. Okay, as we begin to regroup. And you know what, I think I may need to, as I talk about regrouping, I think I may need to kind of like tidy up something here when it comes to the title. I think I may have executed before I changed the title. Let's just take a look here. Give me just a second. But yeah, we're going to be talking about some things on today. Yep, we're good, we're solid. I want to, of course, acknowledge those of you that are coming in. We're going to be taking care of that as soon as we, as soon as we do what we do. Like I said, we're going to be talking about some things today that I think are very interesting. We're going to be tiptoeing into Yah's playground. Yes, we're going to take a look at his playground and see some of the things that he's been, some of the things that he's been putting before us. Let's go ahead and talk about it in just a moment.
See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant.
All right, here we are back once again. Peace and blessings to you, brothers and sisters. Let's look away to the Most High. You know who we are. We are a praying people. We are. Oh my goodness, I have an echo going on here. I got something going on here, and I need to take care of it. I don't know how these things change. Oh my goodness, I have an echo going on here. I need to take care of it. I don't know how these things change. Oh my goodness, I have an echo going on here. Oh, I know what this is. Excuse me. Excuse me, family. I know what the problem is. Let me deal with that problem right away. Excuse me. Yep, took care of that one. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. So sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But hey, let's look away to the Most High. He is worthy to be praised. Most High. Baruch ataya, oh, blessed are you, Most High. Ataya dashe anachnu ha'am shalabrek shelechya, oh, you know that we are the people of your covenant. Enachnu ba'im lifneka leomelecha rahum lanu gam slika lanu ki atah ha'elohim shal habrit shelechya. We would come before you and we ask that you would have mercy upon us and that you would forgive us because we are the people of your covenant. Forgive us for the sins of our fathers. Forgive us for those iniquities and those things that yet remain within us, the potential to do many evil wrongs that our foreparents have done. Give us the courage and the power to confront and to deal with those things and to remove them so that we may be better throughout our generations. We ask that you would look upon us, bless each and every one of our family members that comes in, bless each and every individual that comes through. We exalt you, we magnify you most high, we love you with all of our hearts, and we say before you that we are your people and that the problems and the sins of yesterday will not be our problem today and tomorrow. We are better because of you. We are more than what we were because of you. We thank you that we progress in you. We move forward in you. You are our strength, our salvation, our joy, and we exalt you in all things. And to this we say, Aman wa Aman. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Yes, you know what? I don't know if I did this in front of everyone, but I want to do just a very simple praise before the Most High. This is a simple praise, and all it said, listen, this is about the only thing that I've done that is not scripture. It's going to be very different for those of you that are used to me actually doing scripture. But this, when I share the music that I do, I'm letting you pretty much into my own prayer time, my own worship time. And so there is a simple song, and we're going to do it because this comes up in my prayers. This comes up as a praise unto the Most High, and it simply says, all praises to the Most High. I love you beyond the day that I die. All praises to the Most High. And then the next verse says, it's always been just you and I. All praises to the Most High. And then you are the apple of my eye. So it's a very simple praise, but hey, we're here to magnify him. We rejoice together and we praise him together. And so, yeah, we're going in right about now.
Praises to the Most High.
All right, gonna have to shut that down. Gonna have to stop that. Love that. That is just a simple praise before the Most High. It comes out of my own personal time, and you know what? I just love it. Sometimes that sticks in my head, and I end up singing it all day. But you know what? He's worthy to be praised. He's worthy to be praised every single day of our lives. And I know, it may be out of the character of some Hebrews. They're like, man, that's not rap. Man, that's not, that's not rap. That's not a, oh man, that echo got me again, y'all. But I know, some might say, you know what, that's not rap. I'm sure that what this movement needs is just one more, if we could just have one more rap song. And I'm not knocking it because, there's people that love it. I used to listen to rap only as a mental exercise because if there is cognitive gymnastics, and there is as well, there is a lyrical roller coaster that one can ride when one considers the words and the beats and the timings of rap. I only use it for that reason. It's not that rap within itself is something that I just love and adore, because it's not. Whenever I listen to it again, I only use it as a mental exercise. I use it, and it proves to be quite helpful in that respect. It becomes enjoyable in that respect. But other than that, I will praise the Most High as I do. Now, there are some times when I wish I could rap, but like I told my brother from another mother, my brother Burke in Paris, earlier on, back in the day, I said, hey, I really can't rap. I told him I couldn't rap if you gave me wrapping paper. And that held to be true. Even though I did try once. I actually did try to rap. I hope y'all don't dig up that video. I actually did try to rap for a piece on here. Hey, forget I said that. Forget you heard that. It's all good. It's all good. There's no need for you to go and find that and dig that up. So listen, I want to give shouts out to those that are here. My brother Bergen Paris is in the room. Also, EJ Love is in the room. Peace and blessings to you. My brother George Evans is here. Josh and Penny is here. Of course, you know that Bergen Paris, he is the chief moderator, and Josh and Penny are his assistants. They help him. And I want to say love you too, Penny. Love you too, you and Josh. And as well, we have, who else do we have with us? You know what? I think that that's it for right now, but we know that some people do watch us, and they do end up coming in just a little bit later. We're going to be talking about something that I think is deep and something that I think is interesting on this morning. And who knows, we might be able to get through this and be done relatively quickly. But let's get into the scriptures, because we're going to be tackling something, and we're going to dive into something by way of truth, revelation, and concept that is, I hope that this would be helpful to us, right? I hope that this would be helpful. So let's do this. I promised you that we would go to a couple of scriptures, and we're going to begin at Proverbs 20 and 27. As I go to Proverbs 20 and 27, I want to pull this up, because this is nothing less than wonderful. I always love to consider this passage of Scripture, and let's see what it reads. In Proverbs 20 and 27, it says, "The spirit of man is the candle of Yahweh, the light source of Yahweh." Okay? And it is functional because that light does not stand still within our being, but it is searching all the inward parts of our inner being. Okay? Now, for those of you that want to hear that slightly differently, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up the ESV, because the ESV, while it, in many respects, it does hold up to the Hebrew. It is in English. It is in English a softer walk, if you will. So as we take a look here at Proverbs 20 and 27, I want you to notice here that it reads that the spirit of man is the lamp, or the flashlight, or the floodlight, okay, of Yahweh. And again, it is searching all of his most inner parts. Okay, it is searching all of his inner parts. Now, the reason why this is interesting, and the reason why I hold this to be such a deep scripture, is because It details the fact for us that the Torah and the Holy Writ itself, I'm talking about the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim, the three major sections of writings within the Hebrew Bible, it really points out that this is a spiritual book. Many times we forget that it is a spiritual book because it lays over the spirituality a very human-like, everyday-like tapestry of people like Abraham, who has an issue. He's married to his half-sister. And I mean, that might make I don't know, that might make a good reality TV show, right? Abraham is married to his sister and ends up having to lie and say that he's, that they're not married, that is his sister, and that they're not married, and get in trouble with the political regime of the day, and so forth and so on. Well, we could go on and on talking about that, but the book itself, the Torah itself, is a spiritual book, and I really want us to remember this. I don't want us to forget this as we incorporate all of the truths, the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Don't forget that it is laying on a foundation of spirituality, okay? I serve you notice. In fact, we can rehearse for those of you that would like. I want to point something out to you that may seem relatively simple, but again, it serves as a seedbed for what I'm talking about, and you'll be able to understand exactly where I'm going with this. As we take a look here at Bereshit, notice what it reads. It says, "In the beginning, Elohim." Now, stop right there. The beginning of this journey, the beginning of our reality, and the beginning of our physical existence, it began with the Most High. Now, this is important and this is significant. It's significant because the Most High and the spiritual realms are our true context. I want you to understand me. As we live this life, as we're in this world, as we begin to try to negotiate the things that we have to in this world, we got to pay bills, we have to take care of children, we've got to feed children, we got to cook, you have to pay your taxes. I mean, all of these things that are put on us, right? We have all of these things to do in this physical world, and a lot of times our attention can be taken away from the Torah and its true foundation. Please, my Hebrew brothers and my Hebrew sisters, my Tanakh only brothers and sisters, hear me when I say this. We must not forget that the very foundation of the book that we read, the Elohim that we worship, and the physical life that we are involved in right now has a foundation that is spiritual. Therefore, spirituality is the context of our physical existence. I will say that again. Spirituality is the true context of our physical reality and our physical understanding. And again, I pointed out the other week that I believe that that's what quantum physics was actually getting at when it found that there's a string theory and a membrane theory, and behind every atom there's not only 90% space, but there's also frequency and energy. Yeah, that's kind of what we're alluding to. And really the whole punchline is exactly what I've said before, that spirituality and the spirit world is the foundation for our physical existence. It is the context of our very existence. But many of us, all too often, we are mesmerized by our own physical existence, and we forget that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. We forget this. It somehow, it goes out of our mind, and we have to be reminded over and over and over again. But notice what it reads here. It says, "In the beginning," okay? Now, I have to add some things here, because notice what it reads. It says, "In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth," right? Now, okay, one of the questions that has always been asked is, well, the beginning of what? Is this the beginning of things being created? Is this the beginning of creation itself? Is this the beginning, like there was nothing and then he spoke and poof, there's a planet? Or poof, there's stars? Or poof, there's all this physical existence? Or poof, there's all this physical stuff? No. Genesis does not detail for us the actual, I'm going to say this is going to be a little shocking to some of you, okay? This is going to be a little shocking to some of you, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Genesis 1 and 1 is not the beginning of the story as we would imagine it to be. I'm pausing for effect. It is not the beginning of the story as we would think that it is. When it reads, 1, in the beginning, Elohim created, okay? You have to understand that this word for create is bara, and I've mentioned this a number of times as well. But as we consider what this word is and what this word means, and even more pointedly, the context and the passages which it is used in, I've got news for you. Here's a news flash. Bara, the word to create, as we go back into the scriptures, this word, which means to create, it never, ever. Now, you know what they say. They say, don't say ever. Don't say never, never. You never say never. But when we look at the uses of this word, bara, okay, it means to shape and it means to create, but we are fooled by this word create because to us, create sounds like something is being brought forth from nothing, okay? But please understand the context here of this word create. It is to create in relationship to shape, okay? If I take clay and I create a pot from the lump of clay, I've shaped it into a pot, a clay pot, and therefore I've taken the lump of clay and I have created a pot because I shaped it. Now, the thing about it is, the clay was already there. What I did was I simply took the clay and shaped it as a vase in this point. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand the words that are so bara then is important to us, and it gives us an understanding that really what is being shared with us is there is a injection, if you will, of order and structure. The Most High is taking things, right? He's taking things that exist. He's taking things that are already here. Now, in order for us to talk about the earth and the world and the planet, okay, in order for us to have that discussion and talk about its creation, that would be in a different conversation. Genesis 1 and 1 does not begin with the outright creation, if you will. In other words, I'm talking about the ex nihilo. I'm talking about being brought out of nothing. Again, there's nothing and poof, magically it appears, a planet, universe, so forth and so on. Well, Genesis 1 and 1 is not trying to give us that, okay? Genesis 1 and 1 automatically puts us into a world that is a spiritual world, okay, with, please hear me when I say this, with spiritual monsters and with beings that are literally otherworldly, okay, and the Bible immediately places us in that, and the illusion of it is right here in Genesis 1 and 1, where it reads, in the beginning, Elohim created. He fashioned, he took what was there and he fashioned the heavens and the earth. Now, please understand, this reads that the Most High has taken what was there and he created by means of shaping, okay? Notice what this says here. It means to form, to fashion by cutting or to shape out, to pair a reed for writing, right? How you take something and you make it sharp for writing, right? Like we sharpen a pencil. A stick for a narrow, a stick, right? So we're talking again not about creating something from nothing. Now, I know what our former doctrines told us when we were in those religious circles. I understand what they told us. They told us, according to their understanding, that the Most High, that he did create ex nihilo, that he did create something from nothing. Okay, and that is in catechisms, that is in indoctrination tables. I mean, that is just everywhere where he supposedly created ex nihilo, which means out of nothing. Well, Genesis 1 and 1 does not say that. It does not read that. That is not what the Most High is trying to communicate. The Most High is letting us know that, one, that we are in a, if you will, almost like a, how can I say it? How can I say it? We are in a fantasy episode. I know, right? I mean, I said that, but we are in a fantasy episode where we are literally in this spiritual world, but we're living as physical beings, and we're attempting to get back to our spirituality and our gifts and our abilities and our powers, the powers that we had. And so, long story short, it is as if the Most High is reminding us and not, I don't want to say taunting, but I will say that we are being coerced, in a sense, maybe that's what I want to say, to enter into a deeper realm and a deeper level of spirituality. Even those of us that are Torah only, we're Tanakh only, we try to follow the law, statutes, and the commandments, we also lose sight of the spiritual reality that we are cooperating with, okay? We forget that this is a spiritual walk, that this is a spiritual thing. But let me go back and now let me draw context to this physical existence being nested inside of this spiritual universe. So here we are. I'm reading before you what it reads. In the beginning, Elohim created, and I've shared with you already that the created is not a creation out of nothing, but it is a reshaping of what is already here. Now, here we go, and I'm about to take you into another world, if you will, that is embedded within the Tanakh. It is embedded within the Torah, okay? And I'm going to warn you ahead of time. That what I'm about to show you and what we're about to get, listen, I promise we're going to sneak up on it. I promise you we're going to sneak up on it. And, it's going to be different, right? It's going to be different. But I have to warn you ahead of time that the neighboring cultures, if you will, around Israel and the worldview that they put forth can be seen in the Tanakh, all right? It can be seen in the Tanakh. I'm talking about the mythologies, okay? I'm talking about the mythologies of that may lend themselves to like the Babylonian epics, and we can talk about all of those things. We can talk about it, right? Maybe we should have a discussion one day about about comparative religion and comparing different religions and comparing some of those things that are actually in the Torah, but also in other mythologies. Maybe we should talk about that someday. Maybe we'll get into a little bit of that right now. But now let me do this, and let's go here, okay? Because I've already shared with you that the beginning of Genesis, Bereshit, says that in the beginning Elohim created, and this creating here, okay, is a creation that is not anything else other than taking what's there and refashioning it. Now, I said that, right? And I gave you the example of taking clay and shaping it into a pot and therefore creating a pot from the clay. And then I said to you, but the clay was already there. And I'm suggesting, not only suggesting, but I'm saying to you that this is also what Bereshit chapter 1, Genesis chapter 1 is intimating to us, is that basically the Most High took the stuff that was already here. Now, again, the creation of that stuff is a different conversation. And in fact, we're going to get into part of that conversation here and now as we journey forth into this spiritual world that I'm talking about. And we're going to actually tiptoe into what I call the playground of the Most High, that we're going to tiptoe into some spiritual places that are in the Tanakh, okay? I know a lot of times we're just focused on law, statutes, and commandments. Keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Are you keeping Shabbat? Are you wearing fringes? Are you cooking? Are you eating clean? Are you, and we focus on those things. And I simply want to take that pendulum and I want to bring it back to center. And I want us to understand that we are living in a spiritual dimension, that this is a spiritual world, and that our physical reality is nested. It is, if you will, it's like the yolk of an egg that's inside the egg, okay? That yellow yolk is our physical existence, and all of the the whites of the egg and the shell, in this particular analogy, would represent spirituality. I'm trying to tell you that our physical reality is nested inside of a spiritual universe, and we will never be able to shake it. We will never be able to remove ourselves from the spiritual dimensions that we are already experiencing, okay? I believe it is the second law of thermodynamics, which states that energy within itself can never die. It can be transformed, but it will always exist. It never can be dissipated, and you are energy, you are frequency, okay? And so therefore this gives you a slightly different spin, if you will, on eternal life. You were always going to live forever. But what becomes the question is the state and the condition of your living in that foreverness, if you understand what I'm saying. So let's tiptoe and let's begin to take a look into this spiritual reality, okay, as we go to Psalm 74. Well, what does Psalm 74 have to do with Genesis 1 and 1? Let's go to it. Let's dig in there, okay? And what I'm going to do is this. Listen, now I'm warning you, put on your seatbelts, okay? In this, what I'm about to share, we're going to need those of you that are spiritually mature, okay? Yeah, and those that are not afraid of the bigger picture, okay? I need you to hang with me. Here we go. We're going back into the scriptures. What I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to take a look at verses 12 and 13, okay? Verses 12 and 13. In fact, I'm even going to go to 14. I'm going to highlight it for you. Notice what it reads. For Elohim is my king, my Melech of old, okay? Now, what I want you to see here as we dig into this, as I look at the Hebrew, notice what it says. It says, Wa Elohim Meleki, he is my king, okay? Mikedem, he is my king, right? Boel Yeshuaot. So as we take a look at this, notice what it reads. It says, basically, he is my king of old, which is what I wanted to point to. But notice what it says, even of old, he was working salvation in the midst of the earth. What? Wait a minute. Do we see this? For Elohim is my king of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. Okay? And it's pointing to there being something done literally like in the midst of the earth itself, okay? On a planetary scale, if you'll allow me to say that without getting into the whole global flat earth theory, but just understanding that we're talking about him dealing with the substance of the physical earth here. Verse number 13, you did divide the sea by your strength, okay? You break the heads, you have broken the heads of the dragons in the waters. Wait a minute. broken the heads of the dragons in the waters. Some might say, well, no, see, that's talking about crocodiles. That's what that's talking about. That's talking about crocodiles right there. See, that's crocodiles.
It's 12
Here,
o'clock.
they give you, they're saying whales, right? Men are trying to express that this word dragons means that, yeah, we're talking about a big fish or a big sea creature. If we go here and look at the Hebrew word for dragons, now please keep in mind, I told you that this is a spiritual book, and it's almost like it's from a world of spirituality that we might liken unto a fantasy world, right? Something that we would read and look at concerning fantasy, right? Something like Lord of the Rings or something like some other fantasy epic. But in reality, I have to tell you, our world that we're living in, despite the fact that there are so many things that are kept from us, but our world that we are living in is pretty much more like Lord of the Rings than what we have imagined our world to be. Again, we're looking at it from this standpoint of it being physical and all the physical things we got to do and the job we got to get and got to go to school because you got to get a job and you got to pay your student loans and we get caught up in all of that physicality and we forget that once again that our physical world is nested inside of a spiritual reality. Now, I know I'm saying some things that are like, is Maury really saying that? Yes, I am. I'm trying to let you know that we're living in a spiritual universe. And when we get to the end of this, maybe I'll let the cat out the bag. Maybe I'll let it out now in saying that you are a spiritual being, a being of power in this spiritual universe. And you've been put on this earth to substantiate and to, if you will, to solidify your spiritual standing, right? You're here on this planet so that you can solidify your spiritual standing so that when your energy transitions and increases in spirituality and lessens the amount of physicality that it has, or in other words, people say die, right? But you never die. You're going to live. Your energy is just going to be less physical, okay? Or I should dare say less tied to the physical, right? Well, when that happens, then you will be on a different spiritual level than when you began this journey. If you were able to look at the before and the after, right? The before and the after. Before you were this, but because you went through earth and you progressed and you grew and you did the right things spiritually, you become more than what you were, okay? And so with that being the case, I want to show you what this says and what it reads, okay? As we take a look here at this word for dragon. Again, we're talking about a spiritual universe that we're living in. And while men have tried to make sense of this by saying, well, yeah, this is a venomous serpent, right? It's a venomous serpent. That's what it is, right? Right? It's an alligator. It's okay. When we take a look at what this says, it says serpent, dragon, sea monster. Okay. Now, it could be argued that, they could look at a whale and say, well, a whale is a sea monster, right? But as we continue forward, you would see here that really what we're talking about is, and when you do the history behind this, you're talking about ancient monsters and ancient beings, if you will, that were in the sea. Now, that's why the next verse, in verse number 14, it says, you break the heads of Leviathan in pieces. Okay? And when you look at this, this really has the description. I can't bring up all of the resources that is tied to this word Leviathan. Okay? Leviathan. It gives you some of the same, verbiage as, yeah, it's a serpent, it's a dragon, but it also adds the very word Leviathan itself in the description of the word. Why? Because the original context of a Leviathan is that is of a sea monster that is like nothing else that you've ever seen before. In other words, it is something that is akin to something that you would find like in a fantasy fairy tale, which is why they put it in here which is why when you take a look at even the other scriptures within the Tanakh, they mention things like unicorns and I know. At face value, you're like, wait a minute, dude, did you say unicorn? And I know they could have meant rhinoceros with the one horn, right? But what I want to share with you is this: aside from what it is that we ourselves have been allowed to accept as truth, you must understand that the world that we experience right now was not always the world that existed in previous times. I wish I had some pictures to show you. I wish I had more things that I could show you, right? We're talking about a world and a place which is far more spiritual than what we now experience, and a place where I believe, maybe I can find some pictures, a place that was more so, a place that was definitely larger than what we ourselves, are used to seeing. Let's see if I could pull this up. As I look this up here. And many people have drawn attention to these things, okay? If we even go here, I don't know if you can see this. Let me pull you into this. But if you notice, if that does not look like a giant tree stump, then I don't know what is. Now,
all over the world that look like
we can continue, but they are all over the world. They're all over the place.
Look like giant petrified tree trunks. They flare out at the bottom.
These things look like giant tree stumps.
The structure itself looks
and when
like
you compare them to what a tree stump is, it's like, man, how can you not look at this and say, wow, how did that, look at that, how did that get that way? How do you not look at that
debunking video
and say,
these giant structures that look like trees are actually
when was the last time you saw a mountain that was cut flat like that?
But when I went to look to see how these were formed,
and look at the structure of that. Look at how it is. How is it? How is it that you have that?
They actually don't know how this structure came to be.
And let me do this. I know the person may be talking. There we go. I know the person may be talking over me, but hey, I just want to share with you that they're pointing out here how these things are actually more tree-like than rock-like. Okay, and yes, they look like trees. We see that they look like trees. It again points, look at that. Look at that. You mean to tell me that that's, look at that. And that looks just like the mountain that we saw, and looks just like wood that has been petrified. Well, as we continue, we could go on, we could keep on, but bottom line of it is, the world of yesterday is far different than the world of today. That's my point. It was a far more spiritual place. And some have even said, and let me come back, let me get back on the rails here. And some have even said, well, it's because there's a change in the level of oxygen here on the planet. If we were to increase the level of oxygen, then there would be a change in the physical bodies of the people that are here. They would be larger, they would be taller, so forth and so on. Well, be that as it may, we're not going to say that is like the truth. However, we will know that is what they said, right? But my point is simply this, that the world is a different place now than what it used to be. With that being the case, there's a couple of things that I really want to point to. And it's that when we take a look at the scriptures, as I'm relating to you, let's do this, and let's go here. Back into the scripture where we're reading, where it talks about, you break the heads of Leviathan in pieces, and you give us him to the meat of the people inhabiting in the wilderness. Okay. Now, there is not a single scriptural reference where we see that the Most High went to the sea and gave Leviathan's body to people that were hungry in a wilderness. We do not read that anywhere. We understand this to be prophetic poetry. It is even poetic within its own right, and some of it is prophetic. Other parts of it is historic in a sense. It's cultural memory, but it's laid down in a poetic kind of a refrain. And so as we take a look here, it says, you took the heads of Leviathan, and what you did with that is basically you fed the people. Back in the day, the mythologies, if you will, had the creation of the physical earth literally coming out of the body of a dragon called Tiamat. Now, this is by way of history, when it comes to mythology. This is by way of mythologies, ancient mythologies that were attached to the worldview of the ancient Israelites. Now, as we continue forward, okay, let me go ahead and get into this just a little bit further to show you that we are living in a spiritual universe, okay, and things are different now than what they used to be. And if you notice, it seems as if we're more physical today, but also things are worse today than what they were back in the day. It seems as if we really do need to get back to the spirituality. We really do need to get back to the spiritual things in order to heal, in order to be healed, in order to bring about an atmosphere of healing. Let's get back into the scriptures, and let me just simply show you here. It reads that he is the one that broke the heads of Leviathan. Now, this is also, again, a reference right back in Bereshit, the first chapter of Genesis, okay? Because it says, and the earth was without form, it was void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. Now, it has been styled by means of the gap theory. For those of you that know what I'm talking about when I say the gap theory, there's suspected to have been there's a theory that says that there is a gap between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2. Now, this is the dualistic gap theory that basically pulls from Zoroastrianism and the dualities of this Persian religion, which basically says, you know what, when you take a look at Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2, and here's how the argument goes. If you read Genesis 1 and you read in the chapter, you'll find out that earth was called earth when it was dry land. Look at verse number 10 here. The earth was called earth when it was dry land. So, as the argument goes, when you look up here at Genesis 1:1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, detailing that there must have been a point in time when the waters were already off of the land, and it was called earth back then too. Okay? So really what's happening here, and I know people have said that that's true, and because it was earth, that something happened in between verse 1 and verse 2, and there was a destruction, there was a cataclysm, and the earth was destroyed, which is why, as the argument goes, that when the Most High was creating Adam and Eve, he told them, he said, hey, let us make man in our own image, let us create them. And notice what he said to them, bless them, multiply, and replenish the earth. See, when you are replenishing, and I got that right behind my neck there, right? When you are replenishing something, that means that it was full once, and then it got empty. And so all of that goes right along with the argument that there is a gap in between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2. Okay? And what they say is, well, see, that shows you that the depot between verse 1:1 and verse 1:2, that shows you that the devil rebelled against God and he destroyed the earth. Now, this is what we're given to believe. This is what they want us to believe, right? And this is called the gap theory. Now, there's been lots of debates, many arguments, okay? I was even getting into the mix a little bit back in the day on this. And long story short, okay, we could go there, we could talk about it, but long story short, when you take a look at this, the heavens and the earth, the mention of that in Genesis 1:1, it's anachronistic. Okay, what do you mean by that? Anachronistic. Big word. Sounds very theological. What do you mean, anachronistic? Anachronistic is when someone will say, like, let's say if we were talking about, I kind of use this example, it fits. Let's say someone was, trying to give us an understanding of the population, and I'm just going to make up an Indian tribe, the Gahini Indians of North America, and they were trying to tell us how large they were, and they said something like, the Gahini Indians, they were so large until their tribe covered Michigan and Wisconsin and part of Ohio. Now, that gives you a picture of how big they would have been, but back in their day, there was no Michigan, there was no Wisconsin, there was no Ohio. So in other words, the designation for these land masses, in this case, Earth, this is anachronistic. It's what we understand to be Earth now, and the author is trying to intimate that, that there was a time when these things did come into being, they were shaped and they were formed, and they're calling it Earth right out of the gate, right off the bat, but that's anachronistic as opposed to it being literally, heaven and earth and then it being destroyed. Now, I understand the argument, I understand why they say that, right? But here's the thing, we have to keep in mind as we take a look and as we read further that what the ancients understood, in fact, let me say this to your face, the ancients understood the scriptures in a spiritual context. Yes, the ancient Hebrews were concrete people. They looked at concrete realities. They were very practical, but they also understood things in their spiritual context, which is why the ancients, I'm not just talking about the ancient Israelites, I'm talking about the ancients as a whole. People of different territories, they had their own totem deities. In other words, they had their own quote-unquote gods of the land. And I'm writing a book right now, and in the book I mentioned that in the mindset of the ancients, they had no problem attributing a different god or a different deity to the land, to a different landmass as they traveled, no more than we have a problem with paying different tolls as we're traveling on the highway or having to put forth our credentials to get another Wi-Fi hotspot. They thought, well, this is just what you have to do if you want to make it. This is just what you have to do if you want to be in this land. You have to connect with the power source that's here. They're calling it some god, could be the Numan, the monkey god of India. Well, they're saying, well, you got to connect with that God. And so this is the way that the ancients moved. This is what the ancients did. And they had a world view. They had a belief and a world view that the world that was created out of something that already existed. And that already existed was a being that represented formlessness and void. The formlessness and the void. And that beast was called to be Tiamat. And these are ancient mythologies that are interwoven into the Tanakh because this is the world view that the people entertained. All right? It's kind of like there are things in the scriptures that are not corrected. There's things in, whether it be the Christian New Testament or whether it be, even in the Tanakh itself. This is one example of them. Part of this chapter and verse was really written to be a polemic or a fighting word, if you will, against the whole Babylonian and Mesopotamian doctrines of mythologies and doctrines that that were, set to be spiritual and religious, and this is what we believe. Well, they were putting their own spin on it. They were actually coming against what they were saying, and they were saying, no, spiritual reality is different. You're saying that it's that, but we're saying that it's this, and so you get these polemics, if you will. Okay, so let me do this. I want to do real quickly, and I know we're being somewhat intellectual today, and I'm gonna halfway apologize, okay? But let me look for it, because it reads here, Weha'aretz Haita, it was, the earth, it was, Tohu Wabohu. Now these two here, the Tohu Wabohu, I know. That's Hebrew. It's like, what are you talking about? Well, okay, so let's look it up. Tohu and Wabohu. I want you to see here, and real quick, just let me run through this real quick. It's formless, confusion, unreality, emptiness. If we were to follow this, okay, it also is connected to the primeval chaos. Okay, I don't know how I did just what I did, y'all, but I did do what I did. Okay, let's go like that. The primeval chaos, okay, the void. When you get to the bottom of this, you're going to see that we're talking about this primeval chaos being personified as a being. Now, I'm going to have to say something tongue-in-cheek here, okay? And what I'm going to tell you is this. It's true that we live in a spiritual world. It's true that we live in a spiritual universe, and that our physical reality is nested inside that physical universe, spiritual universe. But the way that the ancients spoke about truth. Now, in this, you're going to understand how religion got created and how mixed up religion became. The ancients understood that when they, as they existed in their reality, right, the memorable things that people would remember were like strange people. They would remember strange people or strange happenings, right? Or seeing a beast that you never saw before. It is stated that when some of the natives saw a horse that they ran because they never saw what a horse looked like before, right? It was some sort of fierce beast to them. But now we understand a horse to be a horse, and it's no problem. Well, back then in the day, they understood people to, back in the day, you didn't have TV, you didn't have radio, you didn't have books. So the things that interest you and the things that got your attention were different people and different animals and different beings. When they wanted to relay truth back in the day, what they did was they personified the thing that they were trying to teach about into a unique individual, a godlike being, okay? And they would tell these stories to give an understanding of what those things were that they were really trying to teach about, okay? Now, you see this in the ancient Egyptian pantheons, where you see Shu and Tefnut and Nut and Nebuchadnezzar and the Ma'ati. You all of these are personifications, if you will, of elements and scientific principles and things that happen, right? Shu being the, wind and moisture. Hapi being water and the ocean. I mean, they had to personify these different things, and people made a religion out of it, okay? So then, when you take a look here at what we read, what the ancients were really trying to communicate to us, that not only did we live in a spiritual world, but we lived in a spiritual world, okay, where the Most High that we served created our existence in this spiritual universe, but he did use, when it comes to the physicality, he did use what was already there Even though there was a point in time, there was a day and time where the physical stuff was created, it's just that Genesis 1 and 1 is not talking about that, okay? And we're not brought into that. The biggest hint that we get of that is in Job, I want to say the 38th chapter, okay? That is the greatest hint that we get of that. However, again, bara is where the Most High creates out of what is already there. Now, if we were to follow that forward, it would take us into the mythologies and the worldviews of the people that were around Israel, because Israel was not born in a vacuum, okay? They had thoughts, they were real people, and so the Most High was really trying to get them out of, just like he told Abraham, get out of your country, get away from your people. In other words, I need you to remove yourself from the world views of everyone that is around you, and I want to give you a different understanding, okay? I want to give you an understanding of who you are in the spiritual universe, and I want you to see something that no one else can show you. Since I created you, I can show you how to be spiritual in this physical world. And so as we take a look here, we go back into the passage of scripture that we started with. Let me go back. And we then understand that when we look at the fact that we are in a spiritual universe, notice what it reads here, Proverbs 20 and 27. That when the Most High wants to search things out, okay, by shedding light on it, when the Most High wants to search things out, he doesn't use anything else but the spirit of the individual, the spirit of the human being. He uses it to search all the inward parts of that individual. Okay? So now, wait a minute. Why is this significant? Why is this important? It's important because, number one, understand, if you will, and maybe I didn't make it plain, maybe I didn't make it clear, but I'm going to make it clear right now. I'm going to make it plain right now, that the same thing that we see in Genesis 1 and 1 is also the same thing that we see in Proverbs 20 and 27. Okay? You have Elohim there, right? You got him present. We have creation, or bringing forth out of what is already there. Okay? When you take a look then at Proverbs 20 and 27, it is the spirit of man that is the candle or the light source. Isn't that interesting? The spirit of man is the light source that Yah uses to search all of your inward parts. So where the correlation is that the Most High is taking what is there. He's taking what is already there, okay? And he's using the spirit of man to go into this spiritual world, this spiritual dimension, and he's using the spirit of the human being, the spirit of the Hebrew brother, the Hebrew sister, using their spirit to enlighten them and to search all of the inward parts and the hidden parts of their being. Okay? Which is really what this is saying, which when we go to the ESV, it's talking about their innermost parts or their inner being. That's what we're saying here. So wait a minute. Let's talk about it and let's dig into that. Because when we take a look at Proverbs 25, we're going to go to Proverbs 25, and let's see here. You get scriptures like this. Proverbs 25 and 28. He that has no rule over what? His own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. Anybody, any spirit can come in, anything, any influence can come in, anything can happen because you don't have any rule over your own spirit. Well, why is that important? It's important because your spirit man is the tool that the Most High uses in order to help you navigate this spiritual universe that we live in. You see, listen, brothers and sisters, let me just take a break right here. There is so much more to the Tanakh. There's so much more to the Tanakh than just, are you wearing fringes? Are you keeping Shabbat? This is a spiritual book giving us spiritual realities as we live in a spiritual universe. Okay? I'm coughing. I need something to drink. I'm going to go ahead and take a break here real quick and get something to drink. Be right back.
Hi, I'm Melchior Uriel, and I'm so delighted to meet you. I'm glad that you stopped by. I'm glad that you're curious, and I'm glad that you clicked on the video.
All right, I'm back. And I do believe that I have stopped coughing. I do believe that I have stopped. Let me do this real quick, and I want to pull up some things here. Okay, let me get another drink. Let me also pull up that as we take a look here. The reality is that I don't want to bring that up. Let me just sidestep something real quick. But let me say this: the reality of it is that we're living in a physical world, and there's far more spirituality than what we have given ourselves to understand. I know back in the day, if you came from the Pentecostal church like I did, we thought we had all spirituality. We were shouting and dancing all over the place, hickam speaking in tongues, and that was all of our spirituality. And I've had some spiritual experiences that have surprised me, that go way beyond that. Some things that were never supposed to have happened, at least not in my worldview. And it really does lead us to believe that spirituality is far bigger than what our little religions would allow us to embrace. There's so much more spirituality and so much more truth, even in the Tanakh. Okay, even in the Tanakh. Now, listen. Let me give you an example of how there are some things that are accepted as the word of the Most High, meaning the Apocrypha. When you look at certain apocryphal books, looking at, for instance, whether you look at Bel and the Dragon, right? Or you look at, Tobit. You read the book of Tobit, and in the book of Tobit, an angel supposedly gives the prescription that if you take the gallbladder and the liver of a fish and burn it, you can expel demons. Well, I mean, where did that come from, right? Where did that come from? Well, see, please keep in mind, back in the day, these books were written to a very spiritual people, people, if you will, that had a worldview that was completely different from ours. But here we are in this late day and age. We have a book, we have a Tanakh, we can read it, and we feel like we are on the top of the world. And I want to bring the pendulum back to center and let us know that, you know what, we really do live in a spiritual universe. We are living in a spiritual universe. And so we cannot forget that as we embrace the Tanakh, because the very foundation of the Tanakh is spiritual. Okay? And let me once again bring you into the worldview of the ancients, okay? And further lay down the foundation that they lived in a spiritual reality that was far more different than ours. Let's take a look here at Psalms 89 and 10. It says, "You have broken Rahab in pieces." Now, we understand that, that there may have been an individual in the Tanakh that was called Rahab, right? But we're not talking about that individual. We're actually talking about a mythical monster here, a mythical monster in the Tanakh, okay, that for all practical purposes was a part of their worldview, whereby they had an understanding, okay, and they knew what was meant, okay. Again, I told you that they personified things. They made images and beasts and people out of these scientific concepts, if you will. Chaos itself was symbolized as a dragon in the mythologies of the ancients. When you read Rahab, and when you read about Tiamat, and when you read about Tohu, Wabohu, it all connects to these ancient mythologies where they personified chaos and things being uncertain. They personified those as people. Now notice, even when you look at, we were looking at this verse of scripture, Psalms 89:10. Let me finish this. It says, "Thou hast broken Rahab in pieces, as one that is slain. Thou hast scattered thine enemies with thy strong arm. The heavens are thine, the earth also is thine. As for the world and the fullness thereof, thou hast founded them." So now wait a minute. You have to understand what is being spoken here. Now, I know we're getting deep into this. I know this is different for today. But I really do want to jar your mind, your consciousness, and I really want you to understand that we're living in a spiritual universe, even when we read the Tanakh. So understand here that the Rahab here is a mythical beast. It is a mythical dragon, if you will. Okay? And the Most High is said to have slain Rahab. And notice, he's slain Rahab by the power, and all other enemies by the power of his strong arm. And notice what the reward is. The heavens are thine, the earth also is yours. So this paints the picture that there are certain mythologies that are being attached here in the Tanakh, whereby the heavens and the earth came about through a confrontation with the personification of confusion and chaos and nothingness, which is why when you go all the way back to Genesis 1:1, it reads, Genesis 1:2, it talks about, "And the earth was without form and void, tohu wabohu," which leads you to Tiamat and another enemy of void, waste, darkness, confusion, right? And notice what it reads, that the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit moved upon the face of the waters. So here the Most High, in Genesis 1 and 2, it's actually confronting in battle, okay, and this is the depiction of it right here in Psalms 89:10, that says that you have broken Rahab in pieces as one that is slain. Thou hast scattered thine enemies with a strong arm. Okay? The heavens are thine, also the earth is thine. As for the world and the fullness thereof, thou hast founded them. Okay? So this really does connect to Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. And it's right here in Psalms 89:10. Now, in order for us to understand what's going on here, I'm going to say something here. Put on your seatbelts. As if I haven't said something already, right? I'm going to say something here, okay? We cannot look at the Tanakh with Western eyes, with a Western mentality, and expect to walk away with the treasures that the ancients would have walked away with when they read these words. We, for the most part, we are conceited, we are stuck up, we feel like we know because we live in such a late day and age. We have so much science that's been revealed, so many so-called truths that's been revealed, and now we feel as if we know everything. We feel as if we have everything under lock. There is no such thing as this, there's no such thing as that. And in essence, what we're saying is, yeah, there's only what science has told us exists. There's nothing else. And so, hey, We just need to understand reality for what we can see, right? Well, that becomes a problem. If you understand reality as only what you can see, what are you going to do about the fact that there are over 42 different frequencies of light, and only 2 of those are for our physical reality? Actually, 3 if you want to be technical. Okay? We have the regular light that we see in, right? There's other frequencies that are close to ours, like violet and ultraviolet light, right? When you take a look then and understand that, wait a minute, if there are 42 different frequencies of light and we can only see our reality in 2 of them, what about all of the other 39 to 40 different frequencies of light that our eyes can't even pick up? What realities are walking around in those dimensions that we have no idea of? Okay. On that note, I heard that they had some glasses that you can put on. I heard that they got these glasses that you can put on, and you can actually see through some of these other frequencies of light. You can actually see, quote unquote, beings. And look, I ain't buying them glasses, okay? I am not gonna buy them glasses. No, lordy. I have no intentions of buying those glasses at all. So then as we take a look here, we are living in a spiritual universe, and I need to say this. I need you to understand. I'm not pausing for effect. I really need you to hear me. I really need you to hear what I'm about to say. As we pick up the Tanakh and as we read the Tanakh, okay, we cannot forget that the foundation of the Tanakh is spiritual, and we cannot look with Western eyes at these ancient texts, okay, and try to scientifically nail down everything as whether, is it, did it truly happen that way? Did it truly? Here's what I want you to hear. You have to understand that the way of thinking that you and I have been brought up with in this Western world, this empirical science, test tube, crunch it out with the numbers, add it up, it's got to add up, we got to be able to prove it. That mentality did not come into being until the early 1700s, actually a little bit before then, right? But what I'm trying to say is that mentality is late. What really existed was there were a spiritual people that really had spiritual experiences, and a lot of what they experienced went outside of the definition of what they knew to be normal, physical, everyday activity. Okay? That being the case, you have to understand that even in the Tanakh, by it being a spiritual book, having a spiritual foundation on which our physical reality is built, you have to expect that there's going to be some spiritual things in the Tanakh that blows your mind when you really internalize it and when you really think it. When you really think about it, you really have to understand that there's some stuff in there that if you just stopped and looked at it, it would blow your mind. Let me give you an example. And now this is something that we've seen. This is something that we have even talked about, right? But I want you now to look at this with spiritual eyes. I want you to look at this, okay? And I want you to understand the spiritual reality behind what is being read here. This is Bereshit chapter 6, okay? And I want you to look at the startling spiritual reality. I want you to look at this. Because looking at this from a spiritual standpoint, it's deep, but it's also very spiritual and very scary. And it came to pass that when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, you know where I'm going, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. I want you for a moment. Now, again, really, y'all, today I'm really stressing the fact that there is a spiritual foundation to the Tanakh, and I don't want us to be so word heavy and so law heavy that we just always focus on, don't do this, don't do that, wear your fringes. I really want to bring us back into the place where we understand that the Tanakh is a spiritual book first, with spiritual realities and things that are fantastic and almost unbelievable because it is a spiritual book. Okay? This is like a shake up, wake up. You know, this is a spiritual book pinpointing that we're living in a spiritual reality. Okay? And I call it the playground of the Most High, the spiritual realm. Okay? Notice what it reads. It says that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives, which all they chose. And Yah said, my spirit shall not always strive. You can't see it, but now you can. And Yah said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years old. Now, again, I told you that this is a spiritual book, and it actually does read as if it is almost like a fantasy film. Because here what we see is that the B'nai Elohim, the sons of Elohim, that are noted, if we can give an example of that, I believe it's in 1 Kings 22. Okay. Here's a picture of the B'nai Elohim, and he said, 1 Kings 22:19, and he said, hear thou the word of the Lord. I saw Yah sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven. These are the B'nai Elohim. These are the sons of God, if you will. All the hosts of heaven standing by him on the right hand and on the left. And Yah said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said after this manner, one said after that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before Yah and said, I will persuade him. And Yah said unto him, how do you plan on doing that? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all of his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Now, this is deep within itself, right? Because this paints us a whole nother picture of things that are going on in the spiritual realm. And you know what? I don't want you to be afraid tonight and afraid to, sleep with your feet hanging off the bed, or feel like you're gotta have the covers over your feet, and like after seeing a horror movie. No, that's not the intention here at all. I'm simply pointing towards the simple truth that the Tanakh is a spiritual book, and it's very deep. It's very deep. Now, to get back to this, look at the startling reality of this. That basically these spiritual beings have the ability to manifest physically while not being a human being. Okay? They are able, as I go back to Genesis 6, they are able to assume physical appearances, okay, and interact with human beings, though they are not human and though they are not seemingly of this physical dimension. That's deep. That can be a little scary. It has been often stated that there have been people that have entertained angels unaware, not even knowing that you are talking to an angelic being. Now, I want to ask you a question. When we even get to, because I was thinking about this even this morning, I was thinking about how, remember in Bereshit, the 4th chapter? Let's go there real quick. In Genesis, the 4th chapter, when the Most High was speaking with Cain, okay? Now, this is my thought. I just kind of played it out in my mind here, and I said to myself, this is my thought. Cain was upset. Cain was angry, right? And to the point of being emotionally affected. Cain was emotionally affected. He was not the same. So the Most High had to come to him and say, Cain, you know, basically what's the deal? Your countenance, man, what is going on? And he says, look, if you do what's right, don't you know you're going to be accepted? But if not, you know, hey, make the right choice, because you can rule over sin, but you got to make the right choice. Now, this is what I've thought about. Because you notice the next verse reads, and by the way, I believe that some time did go by, but the next verse reads, and Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass that when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against his brother Abel and slew him. So now, this is what I ask. When it says here that Yah, the Most High, came unto Cain, don't you think that Cain should have been moved by the very appearance of the Most High? Don't you think that Cain should have been, I mean, it seems as if that would have been something to almost heal whatever it was that Cain was going through. Okay? It seems as if the Most High actually coming to him and speaking to him, okay, would have kind of like helped him out, would have been like, hey, okay, you know what? Man, let me snap out of this. Man, I'm tripping. Man, this is crazy. Oh, man, let me forgive my brother and everything. But no, even though the Most High spoke to Cain, now, here's the question. Did he speak to him in what's called a theomorphism? In other words, did he appear physically? Did he theomorph? Stand in front of him physically in a shape and in a form and say, Cain, let's have a conversation, buddy. Or did he speak to him psychologically? And if he did speak to him psychologically, wouldn't it have been notably different enough for Cain to realize, hey, this is the Most High speaking to me psychologically. I don't hear any voice but my ears, but I can hear him. Well, I mean, yeah, even that note seems like that would have been something to like, oh man, let me snap out of this. Let me snap out of this. Or did the Most High appear to Cain in a physical form that would seem as if, and I know they're the only ones in the story, they're the only ones in that terrain in this particular story, I know. But is it possible that the Most High also appeared to him, maybe, just maybe, I'm entertaining, right? That maybe he appeared to him physically, and it was so common that he's like, okay, I'll think about taking your advice, but then didn't take his advice, right? Now, I know with that last scenario, I feel like I'm really reaching, right? Because they were the only ones on the planet. But my point is, how could Cain turn around and disobey the Most High, or I want to say this, make the wrong choice when the Most High said, hey man, make the right choice, you better make the right choice. How could he not make the right choice after the Most High spoke to it? I mean, would you have, I mean, think about it for a second. If the Most High appeared to you, do you think you would follow through with whatever it is he said? Do you think you would? All right. You know what? We've gotten deep into this. There is more that I want to share, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to break it off right here. However, I do want to, let me just hit one last verse, because this is where, you know, I kind of wanted to go, right? Let's go to... Oh, let's see. Where is it? Hold on. Let me find it. All right, here we go. So let's go right back to Proverbs, the 25. I don't know why I'm having a hard time getting there. Okay, Proverbs 25. Here we go. Almost done. Notice what it reads here. It really says that in verse number 2, it is the glory. Let me highlight it for you. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal a thing. Stop right there. Stop right there. Keeping in mind that we're living in a spiritual universe where the foundation of our physical reality is the spirit world itself, the head, the king, the being Elohim, the God of that spiritual universe, delights in hiding things or concealing things, okay? Now, to conceal is different than to hide. To hide something, it's being hidden where you can't find it. But to conceal something is to cover something and to give that thing a protection, or to conceal it in order to protect others. Think about a conceal and carry permit, right? It's not hiding a gun from anyone. It's simply concealing it so that it's safe, right? But also, it's concealing it because it is such a dangerous weapon. It gives protection against people using it accidentally, if you will. So it's different to hide something than it is to conceal. So let's not get the two mixed up. Here it says that the Most High, he conceals a thing, okay? And to him, it is a glorious thing to do so. He's not hiding it, but he's concealing it. So wait a minute. If he is concealing it, notice what else it reads, but it is the honor of kings to search it out. I want to ask, are you a king? Are you a queen? Because if we go back and attach Proverbs 25 and 2 to Proverbs 20 and 27, we now understand what's going on. In Proverbs 25 and 2, let me do it this way so I can go back and forth. In Proverbs 25 and 2, it reads, that the Most High, he's got stuff for you, but he's concealing it, okay? But then Proverbs 20 and 27 says, it is the spirit of man, because we live in a spiritual universe, spirituality is the foundation of our reality. It is the spirit of man that the Most High is using as a candle to illuminate all of the inward parts of the being of that individual, whereby he has concealed things that he wants us to find. The Most High conceals things that he wants us to find. What do you mean he wants you to find it? Otherwise, he would not have said, your spirit is what I'm using to illuminate all of your inward parts, okay? And I'm doing that so that you would find what I have concealed. So, as we live in this spiritual universe, we have to understand that on an individual level, we are an endless spiritual being. And there are things that have been concealed within us. I'm talking about spiritually. There are things and abilities that have been concealed within you that you need to search out as you read your Tanakh, as you follow the laws, statutes, and the commandments of the Most High. Again, I want that pendulum to come back to center, and we understand, yes, we do need to wear our fringes, but make sure, again, you have the spiritual reason behind it, right? Let's make sure that we're doing the right things, but again, remember that you are in a spiritual universe. You're living out a spiritual reality in a physical dimension of time and space. Please make sure that you understand you have to be spiritual if you're going to pick up the Tanakh. I'm not saying spooky. I'm not saying scary. I'm not saying seeing things behind every corner. No, not at all. but understand that it is a spiritual book, and that with that spiritual book comes a world of spirituality that is far beyond anything that our science can measure, far beyond anything. And by the way, they have measured quite a bit. They have measured quite a bit. I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with the 21 grams, right? The University of Penn State actually did, I believe it was them, they actually did an experiment where they wanted to measure the weight of an individual that agreed to do this, even though they were dying. And so they were dying, and they did notice that at the moment and at the point of that person's transitioning out of this realm and becoming pure energy, there was a decrease in the weight. There was a decrease in the weight of that individual by 21 grams. And so people have said, well, that's how much the soul weighs, or that's how much the spirit weighs. Well, bottom line of it is, they actually have video of a light kind of a whatever orb, whatever you want to call it, actually leaving the person's body. Again, I'm mentioning these things because I feel like the pendulum has to come back to center. I think a lot of times we're too bogged down with physical existence, physical realities, paying bills, and then, you know, teaching about this and that, and you better make sure that you keep Shabbat, and you better, you know, make sure that you wear your seats, and make sure that you eat clean, and amidst all of those things that are necessary, I'm saying we must not forget that we are living in a spiritual universe, and there are so many things that have been hidden from us, so many things that have been kept from us, and the Most High has already concealed truths within us. He's concealed abilities within us. He's concealed a number of different things within us, and it's up to us to search them out, because they have been concealed, not hidden, but concealed. And so I'll leave you with that. Listen, I know this has been a little bit different today, but let me go into, I'm going to take a quick little break, get something else to drink, and then we're going to come back to the chat room, because it's time to ask your questions. There are increasing numbers of Hebrew Israelites all over the world, from Asia to Africa, from Mexico to Germany. There are Hebrew Israelites that are coming together as a nation and as a family, and you are needed. You are needed to take your place as the educator of your families, your sons, your daughters. So we want you to enroll in Navi Beit University so that you can take your place in the kingdom. Now is the time to prepare to create Hebraically centered scholarly materials to educate others, to teach your family, to teach your sons, your daughters, to teach the young, to teach the old, and to bring them into the knowledge of the Most High. The Most High is gathering us together as He has promised. So enroll in Navi Beit University, connect with the administrator and the registrars, and enroll today for just $35 for a bachelor's per month, or $45 for a master's, or even enroll in the doctorate's program. You can get a degree with a Hebraic focus at Navi Beit University. Hebraic education, undergraduate, graduate, and specialty courses. All right, back with you. Here we are. Yes, and you know what time it is? It's time for us to go ahead and to ask our questions. Of course, the call-in line is open. You may call in, and yes, you may ask your questions, or you may state your comment, and we will, of course, address both of those. Let me now tiptoe into the chat room, and let's see what's going on in the chat room. All right, we're going to see what's going on. If anything, let's see what's happening here in the chat room. Okay, so let's see who else may have snuck in here. Did anyone else sneak in here? Okay, my brother George Evans is here. I think we mentioned him. And Ben Naphtali, peace and blessings to you. C.K. Hellam is in the house. Peace and blessings to you. And my brother Gilbert's in the house. Peace and blessings to you. It's All Good is also here. Marissa Parker, Shabbat Shalom unto you. Who else is here? Who else is here, y'all? My sister Kanaya Israel is here. And also we have a call. We're going to go ahead and get this call. All right. Shabbat Shalom. How are you?
Shabbat Shalom. I'm blessed. How about you?
Yes, sir. Yes, my brother Adrian, I am blessed as well. I'm glad that you're with us this morning.
Great
So,
to hear. Great to hear.
What's your question and comment, sir?
I just had a request. About a month or two ago, we had a brother who had called in on the line, and he mentioned that he was being followed by government agencies or whatever. And if you would, if time permits, most high willing, if you can find that brother's email to you, if you can send him my email, I wanted to reach out to him. I've been thinking about him, but it just came back to mind today. And I do have a buddy who was FBI, so some of the things he's saying, people might think it's a little, bugged out, but he's not. So
Oh, wow.
I have some information I'd like to share with him if possible. But
Okay.
that's all I wanted. And just
Well, let me,
if you can and will.
Yeah, no problem. Let me check through my emails and see, because now I do remember, I think I remember when that brother called in, and you're right, it's been a little while ago, and I will check what I can. I'm going to see if I can even go back through the old chats and see if I can get some information from there, and I'll pass it on to you, okay?
All right, appreciate it. Have
All right.
a wonderful rest of your Shabbat.
Thank you, sir. You do the same. Thank you. Shalom, my brother.
Thank you. Shalom.
That's so nice of my brother. He has a big heart. I really do appreciate my brother Adrian. I really do. Brother has a good heart. He's a good man. We're blessed to know him. Let's see who else is here. All right, we have another caller. Shabbat Shalom to you. Glad that you're calling in. And who's calling?
Shabbat Shalom. How you doing, bro?
I'm good.
This is Yah only, brother. Yah only. Yah only.
Oh, good, man. Good. I'm glad that you called in.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. How you been? You been okay?
Oh, man. Hey, I'm blessed by the Most High, man. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good. It's good seeing you.
Well,
all
thank
the
you.
time. But
Thank
hey,
you.
I had a real quick question.
Yes,
man.
sir.
So, if you could explain, so here's the thing. You got out of Christianity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was a fight. It seemed like it took everything in us, because a lot of us, we went through the shell shock.
Yeah.
Anger,
Yeah.
sadness, surprisement, bewilderment.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? We were just like, oh my God, how did this happen to me? So
Yeah.
we got out of that, and I'm starting to realize, or I've learned that, well, I was told to me that there's a difference between those that are Yah only. Have you heard of that before?
You mean there's a difference between those of us that are Yah only and those who are just Hebrew, or?
No, there's Yah only. So there are those who believe that we must keep the laws as the Father has commanded.
Yeah.
And then there are those who believe that we cannot keep those laws because He told us to keep all the laws, and if we can't keep all the laws, then we're breaking the law.
Yeah.
So we can't. Yeah, they go to Jeremiah 29, and they say fear the Lord and shun evil. Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, but that's pretty much where the buck stops with them. They say we fear Yah only. We don't give praise to any idols.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as doing the Torah, they say there's no point in doing it because we're not in the land. I just wanted to know if you could expound on that, or if you have any lessons on that, or touch on that real quick, because
I could do that. I could certainly.
That doctrine is starting to spread a little bit.
Wow.
Scary.
Okay, I could definitely speak
like
into that.
People forsaking the teaching that the Father set up for us to be a light to the other nations in a path for righteousness and life itself. We're shunning that.
Yeah.
Scary, man.
Okay. Well, let me speak into that. I will address that right here, right now. Okay.
Thank you, brother. Hey, man, I love you, and I love you to all the families that are listening. Thank you.
Oh, well, bless you. Thank you, my brother. Love you too. Thank you, bro.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right. Let's dig in, y'all. Let's dig in, because my brother brought up a good point. There are individuals that are thinking and believing that hey, you don't have to do that. In fact, you can't do that. You can't keep the whole law. Well, if that's the case, and we can't keep the whole law, or we can't keep the law until we get into the land, right? Hold on, I've got two instances. I was wondering why I was hearing two phones ring. I had two instances of the phone line up, so I just cut one off. But let's go into the scriptures here, and let's address that. I'm going to go to a scripture that I have read, okay? And I tell you, the phone is going off here rather late. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, let's dig into this scripture here, okay? As we dig into it, I'm going to invite you to go with me to the book of Deuteronomy, and I want to begin with verse number 1. How about that? I think that's going to take us right where we want to be. Here we go. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 1. Now, this is a verse of scripture that I read this a lot because of what my brother mentioned. Notice what it reads here, Deuteronomy 4 and 1. Now, therefore, listen, hear, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments, which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live. Wait a minute, wait for it, and go in and possess the land. So they were not in the promised land at this particular point, but yet they were being told by the Most High, you need to do these. You need to keep these. You need to follow these. Now, please keep in mind that there is a caveat. For example, because we have no temple, okay, we cannot take a sacrifice to the temple. I don't care if you went out and bought a lamb and tried to, you wouldn't be able to take it to a temple because there is no temple, right? So that is one of the laws that we cannot follow, and it is not our fault. That just happens to be where we are in time when the manifestation of the will of the Most High, when he's going to bring forth the manifestation and bring forth the new temple and bring forth everything. Hey, we just are here in this place at this particular time where we do not have a temple. Therefore, we cannot follow any of the laws that stipulate you must go to the temple, right? If a man, it's written in the law that if a man suspects his wife of being adulterous, and there is a spirit of jealousy that comes on him, he is able to go to the priest in the temple, and there is a ceremony that they do. There is a ritual that they do, if you will. I'm going to say ritual because that's exactly what it is, not a ceremony, right? A ceremony is pageantry for something that you're inaugurating someone into an office, all that kind of stuff. Well, no. This was a ritual that would invoke a spiritual response based upon the fact of the matter. That being the case, if a man had a spirit of jealousy, right, he'd go to the priest, they would do this ritual, and that would resolve the issue. Okay? We cannot follow that law because we have no temple, again. Well, with that being the case, there are other laws that, even though, let's say if we did have a temple, there's other laws that we ourselves as men cannot participate in. In other words, the nadah, which is when the woman is in her period of time, when her menses begins, she is to be put away in a different spot, in a different room, okay, only because the issuing of that blood was said to be unclean because it could bring about disease. Okay? So all of these laws and the commandments that the Most High has given us, it really is for our own health and safety and for our well-being. It's not that the Most High don't want you to have fun. The Most High don't want you to... No. The Most High does not mind you having fun. You can have fun, That's why in the Tanakh, he lets you drink. You can drink, yes, you can get drunk, not on Shabbat, but you can go ahead and have a good time. You can party hardy. You can do whatever, right? The Most High does not have a problem with you partying. And I know some of us may have an issue with drinking. If that is you, then hey, pay no attention to what I just said if you have an issue with drinking. But problem of it is, all I'm saying is that there are laws, statutes, and commandments that we cannot keep simply because we don't have what it takes as far as a temple and so forth and so on. We don't have what it takes to be able to fulfill that, okay? And so with that being the case, I'm going to remind us of what it reads in Hosea 3 and 4. This is a oldie but goodie. It says, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king and without a prince and without a sacrifice and without an image and without an ephod and without teraphim. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek Yah their Elohim and Dawid their king, and shall fear Yah and his goodness in the latter days. So that's a prophecy for latter days. May it be noted. And so, my brother, I hope that helps. I hope that helps you. With that being stated, let me tiptoe right back into the chat room. And I was giving shout outs to whoever else may have come through the door. Peter Jordan, all praises to the Most High. Glad that you are here. Shabbat Shalom to you. I mentioned Mariska Parker. My sister Jacqueline E. Bugs is here. She says, my apologies for my tardiness. The video did not show up on my new videos. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Yakahi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing. I want to see that in Hebrew because I want to know how to pronounce it correctly. All right. Who else is here? Who else that I did not see? Peace and blessings to all of you. I know that we were. My sister said, my sister Jacqueline Bug said, it is definitely extreme for me. I have had so archaic and vivid manifestations, which consume me to the degree of confessing new pinnacles of iniquity. Interesting. I don't know what that statement is. Thank you for mentioning that, but it's I don't know what I said or the context of your statement. But every spiritual experience that we have, it should be toward our betterment. It should be toward making us better. And let me say this. I truly believe and hold to the fact that there should not be any fear whatsoever in any experience that you have. I feel as if we have to ward against that feeling of fear, okay, in whatever it is. And I could tell you stories about things that I've experienced. I'm gonna tell you, fear is not the way to go. Let me just leave that right there. It's all good brings up Deuteronomy 29 and 29. Yes. For the hidden things belong unto Yah, but those things that are revealed belong to us and our children and our children's children. You are definitely correct. Let's see who else is here. Again, Ben Naphtali is here. Yeah, peace and blessings to you. And let's see. Yeah. The picture is a lot bigger than what we have been told. My sister said those serpents manifest in my life at least 4 to 5 days a week, trying to keep me from peace. Perhaps I should expect that to be a norm instead of peace being the norm. Well, no, I mean, okay. Let me say this to you, my sister, because what you're bringing up is that you're having some very vivid psycho-spiritual experiences, meaning you're having the spiritual experiences that actually communicate on the level of the mind and the level of your consciousness, if you will. And you know, I'm not sure what your atmosphere is like, but again, you know, as we live in the spiritual universe, we have to understand that the frequency that we maintain and the frequency that we entertain, meaning that of, you know, do you keep a spirit of praise? Do you have a positive outlook and a spirit of praise about you? Whenever I feel, and there are times when I do feel invading presences of spiritual energies that are not seemingly on the up and up, I will immediately, my response is always to hide in the secret place of the Most High, which we do through praise, through literally magnifying the Most High with heartfelt praise. And I'm telling you, every time it works, it dispels, it changes the atmosphere in the room, and it actually makes it impossible for those low vibrational energies to actually break through that high vibrational energy. They cannot take it. They cannot stand it. So I just want to interject that just by way of saying that that's been my experience, and I'm inviting you to do the same. Thank you, Josh and Penny. They said, you know, man, this is quite amazing. Well, I'm glad. You know, we went really, in some respects, we went deep into the spiritual realm, but in other respects, we just scratched the surface, if you know what I mean. All right. I love it. Yucky, he says, oh, wow, absolutely amazing. I was showing my Ish that yesterday. Yeah, the Most High does always confirm truth. He really does. Okay, so let's take a look here. I'm trying to read some of the comments, and by the way, if there's something that you want me to address, please. Yeah. My sister Jacqueline E. Bug, she gets it. She says that Tiamat is like Godzilla. Yeah, that is the proper mental image or mental picture, if you will, that one should look at when they consider that. Okay. Let's take a look here. I'm looking at things that are addressed to me. Let's see. My sister says, this is what I thought you were going to share on the Wednesday, and I was thinking I was unbalanced in my thinking. It seemed like you were overly cautious in sharing. Well, you know, there are times when I do get cautious in sharing because my experiences, I feel like my experiences have been none too few. They've been quite a many. But man, the spiritual experiences that I've had, I told, someone who at this particular point I believe is going to be the future missus. I told her, I said, hey, my life reads like a movie script. And I just told her a few of the stories. I told her some of the stories. And she was like, man, that's crazy. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, no, it is crazy. So I do kind of hold back. And I don't tell everything. I'm thinking about writing a memoir and just sharing my whole life story. Just thinking about that. I don't know. I'll kick that idea around and see what happens. Let's see. What other comments do we have? My brother George Evans is hollering at me. He says, hey, no problem at all. We want to learn on every level of the Tanakh, so we have to take all this in, even if it's not the normal lesson. Thank you, my brother, for understanding. I appreciate it. Yep. It's all good. It's all good, says the Enuma Elish. Speaks similarly to Psalms 89 and 10, and you're very right. The Enuma Elish, it does definitely do that. And again, there are borrowing mythologies from other people groups that Israel has inherited, because again, it was a part of it was a part of their worldview, okay, by and large. And so, long story short, and let me, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. In fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me get through some of these comments, and then I'm gonna share something with y'all. How about that? I'm gonna see what else relates to me. Okay, I wanna address what comes. Okay, this is something. Okay, hold on. Let me check the rest of these, and then I'm gonna come back to that. If there's no more, if there's nothing else coming to me directly, and you know what, there is. Okay, my brother George Evans says, I'm kind of 50-50 on the angels and the women. I thought it was men of high esteem and followers of Yah Most High that was committing sin and getting women pregnant, and not angels. Yeah, okay, no, I understand that. And I understand that that's been part of the harmonization, if you will, trying to make peace with that particular passage of scripture. Let's see here. I think I may be just about at the end, so that I can go back up and I can answer. Okay. Let me readdress something here. Okay, here we go. Okay. My brother Gilbert St. Jean says, scientists have discovered but not seen that there is a big fish down in the ocean, that they could not see it clearly, and that it is huge. Definitely. In fact, I remember hearing something about that. Let me go back up because I want to readdress something. First, I want to readdress, my brother brings up that we're talking about keeping the law in captivity. Let me do this. Let me just take a moment right here, and then I want to go back up because something was not addressed to me, but I do want to speak into it regarding the angels and women. Okay, I'm trying to find that. Okay, just before I address. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. I found it. I want to come back to that. Now let's do this. Let me address this other piece real quick, and then I'll come back to It's All Good and what It's All Good was saying about angels and women. I really do want to touch upon that. So let's do this and let's go in. I want to first of all, my brother was saying that while we are in captivity, are we to keep the laws? Are we to keep the laws, statutes, and the commandments? Well, the one verse of scripture that I shared basically said that, even though you're not in the promised land, you need to keep the laws. But that was more so a geographical question, whether or not you're on the right geography, okay? Do you have to keep the law? Well, yeah, you do, even though you're not in the promised land, okay? But at the same time, I want to address that when we are in captivity per se, do we have to keep the laws? All right, let's do this. Let me find. Here we go. All right, I'm going to move this up. I'm even going to let me bring you into the scriptures that I'm seeing here. There we go. I'm going to take those off for right now. So this is the dedicatory prayer that Solomon was praying when this temple was being presented, or dedicated, I should say. I want you to notice what's being read here. It says, when thy people Israel, and let me go ahead and highlight this. This is, of course, 1 Kings 8 and 33. When thy people, oh, you can't see it, but now you can. When thy people Israel be smitten down before the enemy, because they have sinned against thee, and shall turn again unto thee, and confess thy name, and pray, and make supplication unto thee in this house, right? He's talking about in this house. Basically, they can come there for a refuge. But wait, it gets better. Because he says, oh, let's see here. I think here we are. If thy people go out to battle against their enemy, let's see, that's not the one that I want. Let me continue. There's a lot of caveats here where he says, if this happens, if that happened. And I believe this is the one that I want in 46, all the way down in 46. It reads, 1 Kings 8 and 46, if they sin against thee, for there is no man that sins not, and be thou angry with them, and deliver them unto the enemy, so that they carry them away captives unto the land of the enemy far or near. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land, whether they have been carried away captives, and repent and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them captives, saying, we have sinned, right? Before this cursor hits me in the shoulder, hold on. We have sinned and have done perversely. We have committed wickedness, and so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their souls in the land of their enemies. Okay? In the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee towards their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people that have sinned. And notice this is in connection to the temple, and he does not say, let's do a sacrifice for them, but he says, if they shall pray, forgive their sin, right? No need for bloodshed. And he says, forgive all their sin that they have sinned against thee, and their transgressions wherein they have transgressed against thee, and give them compassion before them who carried them captive, that they may have compassion on them. For they be thy people and thine inheritance, which thou broughtest forth out of Egypt, from the midst of the furnace of iron, that thine eyes may be open unto the supplication of thy servants, and unto the supplication of thy people Israel, to hearken unto them in all that they call for thee. Okay? For thou didst separate them from among all the people of the earth to be thine inheritance, as thou spakest unto by the hand of Moses thy servant, when thou broughtest them forth, them their fathers forth out of Egypt. And so it was that when Solomon had made an end to praying, right? So this last clause that begins, this last passage, I should say, that begins at verse number 46, deals specifically with being in the land, being in exile, okay? And if you notice here, we are to turn with all of our heart, okay? Which is synonymous, if you read Deuteronomy 6, it is synonymous with following the laws, statutes, and the commandments, okay? It is synonymous with following the laws, statutes, and the commandments. Hear, O Israel, the Shema, right here, Deuteronomy 6 and 4, Hear, O Israel, Yah our Elohim is one, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I have commanded thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently. So, loving him with all of your heart is synonymous with keeping the laws, statutes, and the commandments, which when we read right here in 1 Kings 8 and 46, lets us know that if we come to ourselves, right, if we bethink ourselves in the land where we have been carried away, right, and seek you with all of our heart, then, of course, yeah, we shall be heard, and we shall be forgiven. So this points out that yes, that we must keep the law, statutes, and commandments, even as we are in the land of our enemies. Okay? We have to strive to do so. We know that there's many things that we're kept from that we cannot do. But hey, my brother, I hope that that suffices. Let me go back because It's All Good said, and by the way, I think this is an excellent comment by It's All Good, but I do want to deal with it. Excuse me. It's All Good says in the chat room, if one believes spirits impregnated women, why not believe Mary was, and why not believe spirits fought Yah? That is, Revelation war in heaven. Hard for me to accept spirit impregnation, spirit impregnating flesh. Okay? So, a couple of things I want to say about this. Let me dig back into the scriptures and let me answer you with scripture. Okay? Here is the reason why the Genesis 6 could be true and yet and still the virgin birth very false. Okay? Let's dig into it for a little bit. First of all, let's talk about spirit manifestation, which I kind of alluded to as I was talking. Let's talk about spirit manifestation. Let's talk about theomorphisms, which is that's the more theological term. Theomorphisms, a manifestation of the Most High in physical form. Let's take a look here at what it reads in Bereshit 18. And Yah appeared unto him, Abram, in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent in the door of the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes, and look, and behold, 3 men stood by him. 3 men stood by him. So here the theomorphism is where the Most High appears before him with 2 other angels, okay? And they look like men, okay? And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself towards the ground and said, My Lord, Adonai, if now I found favor in your sight, don't pass away, but let me get some water. I want you to rest. And notice what it reads here. Let me wash your feet. I'm going to wash your feet. I want you to rest yourselves. Again, all of these are attributes that point to a physical reality. Okay? Let me get you a little water because it's hot outside, and I will fetch you a morsel of bread. Okay? I will fetch you a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, so do as you have said. So here Abraham does entertain angelic beings, even the Most High himself, who is in physical form, though yet concealed. Remember what we read, Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing, okay? He does not even mind concealing his presence and concealing who he is. So here, again, spiritual beings show up in very physical form, okay? Shows up in very physical form, and it's not mistaken. They had their feet washed, they ate, they drank some water, okay? This is what they did, right? Now, I could also go into the book of Joshua and show you how Joshua happened upon a man who looked like a man, and he had a sword in his hand, and Joshua was questioning, like, man, dude, who are you? I don't recognize you. I mean, are you? Joshua's like, are you for them or for us, man? I don't recognize your uniform. I don't know what kind of uniform you got. Okay. And so Joshua was like, are you for us or are you for them? And so the individual, right? The individual said, hey, I know you don't know who I am. right? You don't know who I am. But who I am, man, I am a captain in the army of the Most High, right? Talk about clout. He's like, man, I am a ruling officer. I am a ruling officer in the army of the Most High. But yet he appeared to him in physical form. And again, that was a physical manifestation. Okay, that was a physical manifestation of the Most High. We could also mention the individual that Yaakov wrestled with, who was, and by the way, the guy who was the captain in the army of the Most High, and that's found in Joshua 5:15. Okay. And what's to be noted about that one, real quick? Let me hold on. Let me just highlight this for you so you can see it. And the captain of Yah's host said unto Yehoshua, Loose thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Yehoshua did so. Okay. So this was such a high-ranking officer in the armies of the Most High that he said, take off your shoes, Sonny Bubbles, take off your shoes, because the ground whereon you stand is holy, right? So this again, notice what it reads: a man stood right in front of him. This is the way that the Tanakh mentions that a man stood in front of him. It says that there stood a man over against him. In other words, facing him with the sword drawn in his hand. Okay? And Joshua was like, look, dude, you got your sword drawn. Are you for us or are you for them, man? What's going on? And he said, look, I'm here to take care of business. I'm in the army of the Most High, right? Again, I call the Malakim of the Most High, I call them his secret service. But dude was just straight up military. He like, look, I got my weapon drawn. I'm ready to get down with the getting down. But notice he manifested in physical form. Now, that it seems to be, if we look at these instances, even barring Genesis 6, even excluding that, taking that out of the equation for right now, we see something very important, that there is a almost as if a natural happening whereby the angelic or spiritual beings can manifest in physical form. Man, there's so many stories I really would want to tell you guys. There's so many things I really would want to tell you. But long story short, this did happen in the scriptures. This did happen back then, right? But these are manifestations of spirits in physical form. I believe if you lifted up their shirt, you wouldn't see a belly button, right? So let's take a let me raise up your name, Gabriel. Raise. Okay, so let me do this, and let me now share with you why the thing could not be with Mary, and this is why you would not believe it when it would come to Mary, okay? Because of what is written. Let me do this, and I'm going to also pull up another verse of scripture here so that you will understand where I'm going with this. Okay, Matthew 1:18. Let's pull the scripture up. Here we go. This is why it could never have been Mary. Looking at Matthew, oh, it gave me 18 instead of 1:18. Hold on. Must be pilot error, y'all. Okay, now the birth of Yeshua ben Yosef was on this wise when his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph. She was engaged, right? You're going to find out later that those who were engaged in these days were actually said to be married to their husbands, except that they didn't have the ceremony yet. Very true. Before they came together physically, she was found with child, supposedly of the Holy Spirit. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privately. Now, this is how we know that this is fiction. I'm going to show you now how we know that this is fiction. Because of what is read in Deuteronomy 22 and 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, right? Well, we know that that's adultery, but wait a minute. Look at verse number 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed, and Mary was, unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then he shall bring them both out unto the gate, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she did not cry, she was in the city, but she just wanted to try it out. She didn't stop the man. She was like, oh, help, no, stop, no, don't. And so she didn't want to be rescued because, notice what it says, because she cried not out being in the city. But the man you're going to kill for a different reason. The man you're going to kill for a different reason. You're going to kill her because she basically wanted this, right? But the man you're going to kill for a different reason, because he has humbled his neighbor's wife. Okay? It is the Hebraic understanding that if someone is a virgin and she is engaged, she is the wife of that individual already. And so for Matthew 1 and 18 to be true, you're saying that adultery has been committed and that adultery is condoned in the Gospels. Okay? So then we know that this could not have been, because the Most High does not commit adultery. But the Greek gods, the Roman gods, did commit adultery all the time, which is how you know that this is of a Greco-Roman pen and not from Hebrews. Okay? So hopefully that helps. That's how we know that it was not so with Mary. But it is also how, and let me go back, because I think you also said something else. Let me close that. Hold on. Let me go back, because I think you may have said something else. Also, Revelation, war in heaven. Hard for me to accept spirit impregnating flesh. So I've dealt with all of those issues except for the Revelation, war in heaven. Okay. I mean, that's what we see out of Scripture is that the one that they said that was doing the warring is nothing more than a servant of the Most High, as we consider what's read in these verses, which I'm sure you know already, Job 1 and 6, and also 2 and 1. Basically, this one called the adversary basically came and submitted himself unto the Most High and answered questions unto him, right? And could not touch Job except for what he was allowed to. And of course, because only Job could prove what needed to be proven, Job had to go through it. And so that was that. Also, basically, Job 2 and 1 also says the same thing, that, yeah, he is submitted. This one that's the adversary is submitted unto the Most High. You find out that later, the later you get in the writings, you'll find out that there is a increasing level of dualism where you get these angels fighting each other and in fisticuffs, right? So yeah, I mean, I could go to the book of Daniel and I could show you in chapter 10 and so forth and so on. But long story short, you do get these, the farther away that you get from, Moshe and all of these things, you get into these fights, these spiritual battles and these spiritual fights. So I'm going to leave that right there unless I open up another whole conversation. Let's see here. I think that I don't know if there's anything else. Hey, Breezy's Girl is here, y'all. Peace and blessings to you, Breezy's Girl. Anime OG TV is here. Peace and blessings to you. Let's see, what else is addressed to me? I'm going to see just before I have to get out of here. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, I don't see anything else addressed to me. Okay, let me see here. Okay, I'm looking. I thought, okay, yeah. Gilbert St. John said Uncle Joseph met a man who guided him to his brother. Interesting. Did I miss a previous comment that's connected to that? Oh, yeah, okay. Let me get Ed Melchior. He says, don't forget Israel, who fought the man who was an angel. Exactly. And then he says, and when Balak's donkey didn't want to move because the angel showed himself. True, right? I agree. So let me just look, make sure that I've answered all. Yeah, exactly, Peter Jourdain. Alma in Hebrew is a young woman and not a virgin. Bethulah is a virgin, okay, in Hebrew. And I agree, Isaiah 7:14 is a big deception. You can look at the context of what they're talking about and see it has nothing to do with something that was going to happen 750 plus years later. It has nothing to do with that. Is there anything else? Let's see, I want to make sure that I get all the comments. Yep. I've gotten all the comments. So, hey, I think that what I'm going to do at this particular point, I think that I am going to take a quick little break, and then I'll come back, and I will, yeah. Definitely, my brother Gilbert, I did see the Book of Clarence. And I mean, I kind of thought, I did see the Book of Clarence. I mean, there's some parts of it that still make me laugh, but anyway, in the Book of Clarence, yeah, they. Let me get back to your comment. You were saying you can see a scheme in the, if you look at it, you can see somewhat of a scheme. But long story short, I mean, I've been beating up the New Testament and Christians so bad and so hard. I'm trying to get him a break. I am trying to get them folk a break. And Penny says, we love you so much, Malkia. May you always be blessed. May you, I said, you have blessed us and so, basically so many more others. Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate that very kind sentiment. May the Most High bless me. I pray that he blesses you all as well. My sister says, I have had some experiences where I did not know if I was in the spirit or out. Is there a way to tell the difference? Yeah, see, I just read that as you were typing that I didn't see it. the question is there a way that you can tell whether you're in the spirit or out? I would say that one cursor, one parameter that would tell you if you are in the spirit or out. One thing that I know to be true. I told you that I was doing spiritual research, field research. One thing that I did notice about spiritual experiences is that while spirituality, hear me please when I say this, spiritual experiences and spirituality can play out on the canvas of your mind in the form of imagination. Okay? So in other words, the tool of imagination will be, the tool of imagination is like the television screen that the spiritual realm will tap into. Okay? That's what happens when you dream. If that's what happens when you dream, if it's spiritual, then your imagination in that spiritual experience will not change. If it's just you, your mind will be fleetingly going from one thought to another, one thing to another, and that is just the nature of the mind. The mind in a waking state is like a stream, and just everything's flowing. It's just flowing, one thought to another, one thought to another, one thought to another. But when you're having a spiritual experience, your imagination is actually locked, if you will, in that particular place. Okay, I've noticed that is one of the telltale signs, if you will, as to whether someone is in their waking mind or if they're really having a spiritual experience. Also, there are physical effects that will take place when you're having a truly spiritual experience, and they are varying in their degrees of manifestation. Okay, there have been some, and I could tell you, I've had experiences to where it was as if the wind was blowing, but every room, and there was no fan on, no windows were open. It's like a wind was blowing, which is why the ancients said, you know what, the word spirit, even in Hebrew, the word spirit and the word wind are the same word, because they both lend themselves to the same idea. And so there have been some people that have had experiences where they have actually felt wind. I have felt almost like in a static electricity kind of a thing, but that was really more so in relationship to disembodied spirits. Okay. But I will say this: if you're having a spiritual experience, the one sign, depending upon the power of that manifestation, it has a fainting effect on individuals. That's what Daniel experienced in Daniel 10. The angel had to actually touch him to give him strength in order to hear the words that were coming out of his mouth. Okay, so my sister Jacqueline says, but if I awake and it's still occurring, then it is not a dream. Like I awakened to being greatly vexed. The being was holding my heart as if they refused to let it go. I was sweating so badly. So yeah, that definitely sounds like a spiritual experience. Definitely. I would in such a case, I would make sure that I am, repentant, I'm good, I'm straight, I've got a good conscience before the Most High. And then I would program, before I go to sleep, I would basically put my mind and my spirit going in a direction which would more than likely be pointed by means of scripture, perhaps a song as well, and I might even sing a praise if I were in that particular state, and I would go to sleep in that energy. I would go to sleep in that atmosphere, okay? And I would then be mindful, okay? Because here's the thing: if you're having a vivid dream, one level of spiritual maturity is to realize that you're having that dream while you're in the dream, and then you begin to control the dream. Okay. I believe it was the Hopi Indians who said that if you are victorious in your dreams, and you will be victorious in your waking life, that you have to be victorious in your dreams. And so yeah, you got to change the frequency. It's all good. That's right. You got to change the frequency. So that being the case, I'm going to leave that right there. Okay. Bergen Paris, you are so funny. Breezy's girl said, I have definitely felt wind before. Bergen Paris says, at Breezy's girl, but you're always going to feel a draft. I told you he's funny. He's funny. Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Going once, going twice. Well, all right. I'm going to actually take a little bit of a break, then I'm going to give a conclusion, and we're about to get out of here. So give us just a minute, and yeah, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Melchior Uriel, and I'm excited to offer you a brand new course at Navi Bait Academy. One of the first courses that we're developing at Navi Bait Academy, and we're welcoming you. It's called the Hebrew Memorization Course, and perhaps you've been reading some Hebrew reference materials, and you note that the paragraphs are numbered by the Hebrew alphabet, as well as the verses. And you're wondering, well, how do I know which is which? If I want to go to a particular paragraph, how do I do that? You may also be wondering, well, how do I memorize the 10 Commandments? I want to be able to memorize the 10 Commandments and know them frontwards and back, and be able to recall them in order, and to know which commandment is which. As well as the Hebrew alphabet. I want to know the Hebrew alphabet and their numerical values from 1 to 400. I'm here to tell you that you can do that now. Now there is a course here at Navi Bait Academy where you will memorize the Hebrew alphabet from 1 to 22 and their numerical values from 1 to 400, as well as the 10 Commandments. All anyone will be able to have to do is to just either speak the number or the Hebrew alphabet, and you will be able to recall it. It's as simple as thinking of a number like 19, and 19 in the Hebrew alphabet is Qaf, which its numerical value is 100, and its paleographic Hebrew symbol is that of the horizon. Let's say 3, all right, just a random number. 3 in the Hebrew alphabet is Gimel, and its paleographic Hebrew symbol is that of the foot, and also its number is 3. But guess what? Since it's 1 through 10, number 3 would represent the third commandment of the 10 Commandments, which is thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Well, how am I able to do that? I'm able to do that because I've been using this system for some time now, and I'm willing to offer to you through this course at Navi Bait Academy. That's right. You can take your time. If it takes you a week, if it takes you a month, if it takes you 2 years, it's up to you to just study at your own pace. The only thing we ask you to do is just to dig in with us. And I'll even let you in on a secret. You can start the course for free. So thank you very much, and we can't wait to see you on the other side.
All right, we're back. We're back, and I want to say I've been reading some of the comments. My sister Jacqueline says that she keeps basically the atmosphere right, and I'm wondering if there's an attachment in the house. I'm wondering if you may want to pray and see what the Most High would have you do, because it seems as if there is an attachment. Perhaps, there could be an attachment to the house, something in that house that does not want you to have peace. If you are repentant, then it can't be that there's any tormentor coming from any past experiences. I'm thinking that it's either something that has attached to that house where you're at. And I mean, other than that, I would be careful of little trinkets that I get from secondhand and hand-me-down places. I mean, like, not hand-me-down places. I mean, secondhand places and like Goodwill and so forth and so on. Thrift stores. That's what I'm trying to say. Thrift stores. I'd be careful of, things that you allow to play in your home, energies that you entertain in your home. In the midst of my experimenting spiritually, I did have some magical stuff that I had to, when I said I wasn't going to do that stuff no more, and when I stopped trying to see what was what, I said, you know what? Hey, I got a direction now. I ain't doing that stuff no more. I threw that stuff out, right? I threw that stuff out. So you may want to see what's up there. I can't speak into that because I don't know what's going on there, but I would say pray to the Most High, my sister, Jacqueline E. Bugs, and see where the attachment is. Let him reveal to you what's going on and what to do, okay? I fully believe that the Most High will do that for you. And so, yeah, someone said that they miss the backdrop. Oh, you do now. You missed the backdrop? Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Give me a second. I just had it. Where's it at?
Connection. Connect the dots. What's the connection? Connect the dots. What's the connection? Connect the dots. What's the connection?
All right, there you go. Gave you all right, well, thank you, my sister. She says, I do not take in food, and she says, I sever ties. Okay. I understand. Yeah. I mean, things like Breezy Girl is saying, I mean, I do agree. Even have to watch some Bibles from other people. Wind chimes, old wooden furniture, other people. Because listen, here's the other. Hold on. Let me give you the backdrop. The backdrop is this. Even as the Most High anointed the utensils of the temple, right? Objects can carry a spiritual charge, a spiritual value. Very true. Remember, I don't know if you all remember listen, I'm sorry. I'm so far over. I'm going to just say this and then I'm going to go. You remember the movie The Golden Child? You remember in the movie of The Golden Child that the monks were they were channeling energy into this knife, right? This 4-bladed knife. I actually saw a rendition of that knife, and it's very true that there are people that are, in this case, they are monk-like, but you can't mistake them for holy people. They also I'm sorry, I was looking at a comment. They will channel negative energy into that so that when someone picks it up, they will then do something very negative and very inconvenient for someone else. So, issue of it is, objects do carry a spiritual charge and a spiritual value, which is why it's important. It's important for us to realize that things that we bring into our home must be holy as we are, right? All right. Hey, Moving Different isn't up in here. Peace and blessings to you. I want to say, you know what? Let me go ahead and let me give this, let me give this summary, this conclusion, and then we're out of here. The conclusion of the matter is that we are living in a spiritual universe, that our physical reality is nested within. It's just like the yolk of an egg is surrounded by the white of the egg and the shell. We in this physical existence, we are not only surrounded by the spiritual universe, but it permeates even through our physicality. In other words, it is intermeshed, it is connected to and runs all throughout our physical reality. We cannot escape nor run from the fact that we are living in a spiritual universe, and therefore we must negotiate this spiritual universe on its terms of spirituality. This means that the world in which we live is far deeper, far broader, far wider spiritually than what our minds could first imagine. We are at this particular point, because of our religious walks, we have had some exposure to spirituality, but however, that exposure really would equate to a child watching a cartoon when all of the reality of the world is in front of them. So in other words, there is so much more for us to learn because our introduction to spirituality has come to us from a very regimented and stiff spiritual regimen, religious regimen, if you will, from a religion. And so, long story short, it's important for us to realize where we're at. It's time to wake up, smell the Maxwell House, and realize that we're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. We are living in a spiritual universe. This is a spiritual place, and we embrace and hold that spiritual book of the Tanakh close to our chest, which not only tells us that we are to eat clean and that we're to wear tzitzit. Not only does it tell us how to behave ourselves and how to deal with family, but it also lets us know that we are living in a spiritual world where things do happen spiritually. In the Tanakh itself, it introduces us to a world that literally is akin to a fantasy world, a world that is filled with mythologies. And I wanted to say this before, but I will say it now. The issue of it is that it's impossible to have a spiritual experience without some kind of mythological backdrop. In other words, if you had a spiritual experience, it would seem like it was a myth. It would seem like you were making something up. It would seem unreal to those of us who are supposedly in our right minds and that would hear of your story. Bottom line of it is, the world is a far more spiritual place than what we've been allowed to believe, because as quiet as it's kept, some have thought, well, if we say that there is no Elohim or that there is no religion, well, society itself would crumble. Well, the other side of the coin that they don't flip and that they don't tell you about is that if they were to lend too much credibility and credence to there being a spiritual world, it would also do the same thing, because it would undermine the empirical sciences, and individuals would then simply come forth and live a far more spiritual life and be no longer under the confines, okay? No longer under the confines of the empirical sciences and quote unquote the intellectualism that runs so rampant through our society today, which often says that there is no God, there is no spirituality, there is only this physical reality. We embrace the Tanakh, we embrace its truths, but we also embrace the fact that it is our spiritual foundation, and we must not forget that in the midst of all of our doing, in the midst of all of our being, let us not forget that it is true that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and that we must not ever loosen our grip on the reins of spirituality, because it is our present, but it is also our future, and it has most certainly been our past. I'm Malkia Uriel. And hey, I think, I don't know, I see something else going on here in the chat room. Okay. So at any rate, all right. I'm Malkia Uriel. Thank you so much. Remember that you are blessed. Remember that Israel is no longer cursed. May the Most High forever smile upon you. May He be with you. Remember that you are the people that He loves, the apple of His eye. Love Him always. Be true to Him always. Ah, we have a call as I was about to go. All right. Shabbat Shalom. This is Malkia Uriel. Who's calling?
Hey, how you doing, Elder? This is Moving Dirt. I just wanted to share something with you. That's all.
Okay, go ahead, man. Go ahead. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, Elder, and I'm still coming out there in September. Hopefully, we can link up at a library.
Oh man,
I still want to meet up with you.
Yes.
But other than that, I found something in Matthew 11 and 50 and 51 that blew my mind. I'm gonna get off the phone and let you read it. But basically, it's just the fact that the high priest, it's very funny that nobody in the Old Testament prophesied about it. You got to wait till the New Testament to hear the prophecy of Jesus rising in 3 days. From the high priest or whatever his name was. But I found that very interesting that he is the one that prophesied about Jesus rising. But that's all I wanted to share.
Okay, Matthew 11 and 50. I'm going to get that.
Thank you.
All right, my brother.
Shalom.
Shalom, my brother. Shalom. Let me go ahead and read that since my brother brought it up. And, man, I was just about to hit that exit switch. Hit the eject button. All right, so let's go ahead and read that. I've been trying to leave these people alone. I really have. I've been trying to leave them alone. But here we go. Matthew 11 and 50. Did I hear that correctly? Was that, let's see here. Okay, you know what? I think I misheard him, but let me find it for myself. Okay, let me find it for myself. Okay. And I think that this is one of those scriptures that I actually did touch upon, especially in that series that in the series that I read. I'm sorry, a series that I mentioned about the book of Matthew and proving that the prophecies were either real and true or not. And let's see. I think he said Matthew 11. Okay. All right. I will read. Okay. Give me a second. I'm reading some scripture here. Yeah, my brother, I think I heard you wrong. Which scripture did you say?
It was John 11 and 50,
John
51.
11.
My apologies.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. All right.
Shalom.
Shalom. I'll read it right now. All right. John 11, verse 50. All right, so here we go. We're going in. John 11 and 50. Nor consider that it is, and this is interesting because, yeah, these are the words of supposedly Caiaphas, the high priest. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know not nothing at all, nor consider that this is expedient for us that one, I remember this, that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yeshua ben Yosef should die for the nation. Nation, not even the whole world, right? Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. And not for the nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad, meaning the Israelites abroad. Then came that day forth that they took counsel to put him to death. So it's interesting here because yeah, the high priest is talking, and you know what they're doing here. They're making it so that the high priest is actually offering up the supposed Passover lamb, right? Which was never a sin offering, never meant to be a sin offering, never meant to forgive sins, never meant to atone someone and reconcile someone back to the Most High. No, it was about setting people free. And if you notice, even at the end of this so-called, whatever you want to call it, there was nobody set free. Who was set free? Okay, I mean, who was set free, right? No one was set free, right? So it's not like Rome packed their bags and they said, okay, we're going to stop occupying Judea. We're going to leave y'all alone. We're going to let you guys go free. That did not happen. So it's just one of those things where, yeah, well, wherever you're getting this from, well, it's not accurate. It's not spiritual. It's not scriptural. So, yeah, so supposedly he prophesied, right? He prophesied this, and yeah, no. Nope. We're not going to accept that, right? Because it goes against the Tanakh. It goes against the word of the Most High. Taking a look then at everything, I think we're ready to enjoy the rest of our Shabbat. I'm going to check in with you guys, and I just simply want to say that may the Most High smile upon you. May He keep you. May He bless you. And I have peace and blessings to you, Yirmiyah, Yisrael. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And yeah, may the Most High bless you. All right, enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. May your week be blessed, right? And may He keep you. Shabbat Shalom.